Danny Gaffone for Pro Boxing fans that I'd have with me over Zoom, trainer Billy Nelson. Billy, Rangers' current misfortunes aside, how are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, mate. All good.
Well, I'm a United fan, so both of our sakes will stick to the boxing for the time being. First things first, want to get your thoughts on the weekend's boxing. Jack Catterall, in the end, a wide winner over Regis Prograis, but not without some trouble in the first half of the fight. How did you break that fight down? I think sort of conflicted in reports. A lot of people impressed with Jack Catterall, and then some people sort of concerned with the early rounds. What was your take on it?
I thought initially it was a very cagey fight, and I thought Jack had lost maybe, well, three, if not four, of the first five rounds. And then when he get put down with that flash knockdown, I thought, because I then looked at the uh, in running and the betting, and he went from 11 to 4 to 49. So for people to say that he was never ever behind, people obviously some people thought he was behind, you know, uh, but he came on strong. But he came on strong and Prograis got weaker. You seen it visibly happening for round seven. Excuse me, round seven onwards. You could see the legs were not quite as sharp as what they were. He was a wee half step behind and ultimately caught up with him.
How do you think Jack fares against the sort of the rest of the big names at 140? There's been talks with about a fight potentially against Devin Haney, the winner of Liam Paro against Richard Hitchens.
That's
Shaking
the
your
fight.
head there. Yeah.
That's the fight. That's the fight that's going to happen. Piero and Hitchens.
I wanted to get your thoughts on Campbell Hatton, Ricky, because Billy, I noticed you commented on a post we shared of Eddie talking in the post-fight press conference about what may lay in the future for Campbell, and you were saying that you had him edging the fight, and that obviously you were seeing people sort of writing Campbell's obituary, people very quick to jump in, but you'd said you noticed improvements, particularly in the early stage of the fight. What's your take on that situation? If you're involved in Campbell Hatton, what do you think the next move should be for him?
Well, it's not for me to say what Campbell Hatton's going to do. I mean, I barely know the lad. I know his father. Uh, Listen, he's a committed young man who loves the game. I think it was clear as day. The first five rounds, he won four of the rounds. In my opinion, anyway, cleaner shots. He was throwing a lot of feints and trying to get draw the lead for the other guy. I can't remember his name. Jack somebody, was it Jack?
Jimmy Joe Flint.
Jimmy Joe Flint. Aye. Well, he was drawing the leads off him and hitting him with jabs, and they got a few good uppercuts up the middle and body shots, but his problem in the second half of the fight was he was doing the same thing that he was doing in the first half of the fight, and the guy won there and then started, countering him and getting the better of him, and they eventually, he, it was a very close fight. I thought Campbell won. I thought Campbell won by one round. It was a very close fight, but there was definitely signs of improvement there. For anybody to think that there wasn't, that you know, is doing him an injustice.
Well, let's talk your stable now. Before we get on to Big Martin, I wouldn't be doing the people back home if I didn't ask about Lewis Crocker. This fight with Paddy Donovan, it feels like it's being discussed for an eternity now, and it had all gone very quiet. And then I saw an interview last week with Frank Smith. I believe it was with Abs from October Red, and Frank said that it feels as if they're nearing an agreement for that fight to take place in early 2025. From where you're sat and from where Lewis is sat, is that accurate? You think we're going to see this fight first part of next year?
100%, 100%, it's going to happen. We've wanted it for a long, long time. We've wanted it for a long time. Unfortunately, the other side didn't, but now I think they've came to terms with this is the only really fight out there for them. Because let's be honest, I mean, with the fullest of respect, uh, Paddy's no fought anybody in the top 30 in the welterweight division,
Yeah.
and and he beat my old fighter, Lewis Ritson, who was a lightweight, in his last fight. I mean, it took, I think, was it 10 rounds to stop Lewis?
Yeah.
And now he's going for that to a fully fledged strong as an ox welterweight. Well, I think he's in for a world of trouble, to be perfectly honest with you.
The word sort of about boxing had been that the hold up was around a potential venue for the fight, but judging by how you're speaking to me, that issue's been resolved now.
Well, it was never going anywhere other than where we wanted it. That was always
Brightness of the
that was always the where it's going to be has always been the place where everybody wanted it. Well, certainly the champion first and foremost. The
yeah.
challenger doesn't dictate nothing. The challenger doesn't dictate nothing. Uh, so the fight's happening. In fact, me and Andy Lee had a wee chat about it on Saturday night. Just wish each other best of luck.
The Irish
Andy's,
boxing fans.
I know Andy for the Tyson camps and all that, you know. Great guy. Great guy.
Well, the Irish boxing fans will be delighted to hear that. It's certainly one of the best matchups we've seen back home for a long time. But let's talk Martin Bakole, Ajit Kabayel. News yesterday that purse bids was scheduled for November 5th. I think the consensus had been when this fight was ordered by the IBF that we were all expecting it to land on a Riyadh season show. There had been rumours about the Fury Usyk undercard and then the show that's been planned for February. Do you expect this fight to go to purse bids, or do you think we'll see a deal potentially sorted before then?
Uh, I don't really know yet. I mean, there's still plenty of time to negotiate with the other side. I know I'm led to believe an offer was made to them. Uh, then up to Cabayal whether he really wants to fight Martin as well. He could pull out. He could pull out before the plus bids. Wouldn't be a good look. He'd be kicked out the top 15, but then again, he's got a high ranking than the other ones as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Cabayal. I mean, do you know who I noticed wasn't in the top 15 today in the IBF? And I found it astounding that he wasn't. Joe Parker.
Yeah, that's going to be my next question.
So, Joe Parker, if Cabayal pulls it, What title? Oh, it's IBF. Daniel's got in it.
Yep.
Imagine Cabayal pulling it against Martin. Imagine that. And Joe went in the top 15 and got a voluntary defence against Daniel Dubois.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Bill, because obviously it looks like this Anthony Joshua Daniel Dubois rematch isn't going to happen, whereas
Aye.
Frank's maintained that Daniel's going to fight in February regardless. And the word
Aye.
about is that Joseph Parker's a front runner, but then as you say, he's not in the top 15. I believe that's due to the fact he holds a WBO interim title. So how would that work out? And surely Martin would be at the jump of the queue as the highest rated contender with the IBF.
Well, he's not the highest rated contender. Cabayal's one ahead of us. But if he refused the final eliminator, Frank Warren's not going to put Martin Bakole in with Daniel Dubois, mate. Let me tell you right at here now. That's not happening. That won't happen. Martin will need to be mandatory. But then again, just for talking's sake, Joe did fight Daniel. Whoever won would then have to fight Martin because the mandatory would be due then. So
Yeah.
where does that leave? Where does that leave AJ?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Joshua not seeming as keen on that rematch with Dubois? Doesn't look like it's going to happen now.
It doesn't look as though it happened, but you know, he might get pushed into a corner. And should they get a rematch? You know, it's a voluntary defence. Why are they getting rematches? The champion, yes, the champion is giving the challenger the opportunity. So the champion is safeguarding his interest in getting a rematch. That's fair enough, but not the challenger. And that's no disrespect to. It doesn't matter what fight, who the fighters are. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a fantastic, fantastic fighter, fantastic person. Should be no entitlement. a rematch if you're a challenger for a title, and to get a rematch if and you get beat comprehensively. Let's not get away from that point as well. What's your thoughts?
Um, I think not going into specifics on this situation, I think we have seen the likes of Martin, Zile Zhang, fighters that have their careers held up by some of the repeated rematches we've seen. I mean, I think from where I'm looking at it, that sort of trend started when AJ had a rematch against clause for a mandatory defense, which I'm not sure had ever happened before, and then it feels like the division has been held up a bit with these rematches.
It's held up a bit. Well, he's a rematch clauses in against Andy Ruiz because he was a champion and a voluntary defence. And then he had a rematch clause in against Usyk, who was a mandatory.
Yeah.
How can you get even worse? How can you get a rematch in a mandatory? That's not right. It's just not right. I know the politics of the sport and the commercial side of it, but it's not right. It's unfair to everybody else sitting on their hands doing nothing. That's just my opinion. But I think if you're honest, you'd agree with me.
Yeah, I think most people, it feels like Martin's finally getting recognition, and I think people do want to see the
But
likes of himself.
it's not just Martin. There's many others, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just sticking with Anthony Joshua, I think the consensus is that him swerving a rematch with Daniel Dubois would, for the sake of his future career and potentially even his long-term health, be a wise move. If you were, say, training AJ, managing AJ, what would you plan out his next move to be?
Retirement, because he's done everything. He's a fantastic fighter, fantastic person, made a lot of money. Go and enjoy your life. And I said that directly after he's lost to Daniel. He's done. He's nothing to prove to nobody. He's a fantastic fighter. He's turned. He's turned British boxing into what it is now, single handedly.
Yeah. So no appetite on your end to see that long-awaited fight with AJ and Tyson Fury. I mean, that's been discussed for next May potentially if Tyson doesn't get the result against Alexander Usyk in December.
There's a lot of ifs and buts, isn't there?
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I know AJ's got a rematch. I think if he's got a rematch clause with Daniel, I don't know if there is or not, but say he has, a rematch should be an instant rematch, shouldn't it? No
yeah,
getting permission to step aside and let Daniel fight somebody else and then get the rematch. That's not on. So, well, it shouldn't. That shouldn't be on. But let's put it this way: what happens if, for talking sake, as you suggested, Daniel fights Joe Parker, and in between whoever wins that fight and the next fight, the mandatory gets called with IBF. Where does that leave AJ's rematch? The mandatory supersedes a rematch,
yeah.
so that's a bit complicated. They shouldn't have rematches and voluntary defences. Bottom line, sorry, no mandatories, and certainly the challenger shouldn't get a rematch clause. That's if they've got a rematch, of course, because one said they had and one said they hadn't. So they were kind of contradicting each other, weren't they?
Yeah, a lot of sort of different voices on what the sort of true situation is. Last one, Bill. I want to get your thoughts on the December 21st rematch between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, and particularly the approach that Tyson may or may not adopt for the second fight. A lot of people thinking he looks a bit heavier, which would suggest an approach we saw similar to the second fight with Deontay Wilder. Tyson himself claims, he's going to go on the same approach, maybe just a bit less showboating, believes he can outbox Usyk on the back foot. If you were training Tyson Fury, what do you think the route to take if you're going to be the first man to defeat Alexander Usyk is?
The way he box round 1 to 5, do it for 12, and he'll beat him. Anything less than that, he'll get beat again. Because it's no, it's a top fighter that he's fighting. He's fantastic at working out people's styles and changing styles mid fight. He's some fighter, but so is Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is a magnificent fighter. First time I seen him spar with Martin Bakole, I thought, fucking hell, what a fighter. Absolutely. I was like, I, I've never, very rarely have I been in awe of people, but that particular day I was like, that's some fighter. Because I know what Martin's done to others on many, many occasions. And I thought, geez, oh, that's some fighter. But it's
When
going to
would
be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight. I just hope they don't get another a third fight.
when would that have been? The first time you saw Tyson in the gym?
Oh, I can't remember, mate. I can't remember who he was fighting. It'd have been about 3 years ago, maybe four. I don't know. 3 or 4 years ago. We were down in Morecambe for maybe a month, 3 weeks. Well looked after, lovely apartments, great people to be around because of the right boxing people, you know. Joe Parker was in the gym, Andy Lee, we Paddy Donovan was there at one time. Uh, just good vibes in the gym, good vibes. Very simplistic gym. The gym doesn't make you know, a gym having all the fancy gear and it's got one punch bag and one water bag and a boxing ring and a few machines. That's what it's got. Very similar to my gym. The boxer and the trainer make the gym. No, the machines and fancy this and fancy that. If you've got it, you'll bring it out in the gym.
Yeah,
But they're good people, good people. You know what I mean? And very knowledgeable, all of them. And good. They treat people who go down there to spar particularly well.
good
And
stuff.
you know, you can't thank them enough for that.
Well, Billy, we will wrap it up there. Really appreciate you hopping on. Looking
Okay.
forward to hopefully getting an announcement on Martin's next news. As I say, it feels like the sort of excitement that, people in boxing and hardcores who've known about Martin for a while, it's finally starting to cross into that mainstream. And yeah, hopefully we get the news on the fight soon. And from an Irish perspective, certainly Lewis Crocker, Paddy Donovan. So again, Billy, thanks very much. I'll let you get on, top man.
You're more than welcome. Take care.
Cheers, Bill.